For years after breaking up with my ex-girlfriend Vanessa Clarke, we ran into each other at a class reunion. Someone suggested we play Truth or Dare. Vanessa drew Truth. Someone asked her, "In your relationships, what's the smartest thing you ever did?" She glanced at me, a smirk curling at the corner of her mouth, making my ex pay off my $700,000 in loans, then dumping him after I found a richer boyfriend. Everyone expected me to storm out in anger, but I just smiled and gestured for the game to continue. When my turn came, the question became, "In your last relationship, was there anything you kept from your partner?" "Yes," I answered. "What was it?" my classmate pressed. I smiled and said, "I'm actually the son of the richest man in the country." After a moment of stunned silence, my classmates burst into laughter. "Liam Foster, have you been watching too many CEO short dramas while delivering food? Got yourself some delusions. Take my advice, stop trying to act rich. You haven't even taken off your delivery uniform." I glanced down at my Armani casual wear and the custom AGV helmet sitting beside me. I did kind of look like a delivery guy. Before I could respond, Vanessa's mocking voice cut through first. "Liam Foster, we broke up 4 years ago. Why are you still so pretentious? This reunion is about reconnecting as friends. There's no need to show off wealth. Just be honest." I leaned back calmly in my chair, looking at her with cool indifference. "I'm telling the truth. I really am the richest man's son. Without my connections, do you think you could have booked the VIP suite at this hotel?" Actually, I hadn't planned to come to this reunion at all. I didn't want to see Vanessa, and I wasn't in the same social circle as these classmates anymore. No point forcing it. But a close friend called me 28 times begging me to come, saying Vanessa wouldn't be there. He also said everyone agreed not to talk about their situations, just to reconnect. But not only did Vanessa show up, she was flaunting herself shamelessly. A gold digger pretending to be high society. How ridiculous. Yet this fake socialite wouldn't let me off, continuing to press. "Liam Foster, there's a limit to bragging. My husband booked this suite with his VIP status. What does it have to do with you? With that delivery outfit, if you weren't riding on our coattails, would you even qualify to eat at such a high-end place?" Vanessa's words sparked laughter around the table, and everyone looked at me with scorn. But I just waved dismissively and sneered. "So you're saying I should be grateful to you?" Vanessa pursed her lips and pointed at the food and wine on the table. "Isn't that obvious? Without me, could you afford this expensive food? Could you drink this premium wine?" I slowly raised my head, a slight curve forming at my lips. "Vanessa Clarke, you really haven't seen much of the world. This food? At my house, even the housekeeper wouldn't eat it. I certainly wouldn't." My words immediately triggered another round of mockery. "Liam Foster, please stop showing off. You're just a nobody. Without Vanessa, you couldn't even get through the front door." "Exactly. If Vanessa hadn't specifically requested you be invited, I wouldn't have bothered calling you. Just apologize to Vanessa and you can at least drink some of this good wine." The mocking voices rose and fell, but I didn't take them to heart at all, because everything I said was true. If I weren't trying to save these old classmates some face, I would have already told them that Pine Mountain Banquet was my property. Seeing my silence, Vanessa walked up to me with a wine glass. "Want to know why I dumped you? Men without power should stop trying to show off. Drink this wine and I'll pretend what just happened never occurred." Looking at Vanessa before me, I slowly stood and met her eyes. "Vanessa Clarke, I gave you some courtesy, but you actually think I'm still that lovesick poor kid from 4 years ago?" Then I shouted toward the door, "Waiter, bring the wine list. I'm paying for everyone's meal tonight." The waiter pushed open the heavy mahogany doors, looking hesitant. The atmosphere in the VIP suite was thick enough to choke on. On one side, a group of well-dressed professionals sneered. On the other, I stood in my delivery clothes, holding the room hostage with a smile. "Sir." The waiter glanced nervously at Vanessa, then at me. "The wine list," I repeated, extending a hand. "And bring the manager. I believe his name is Mr. Sterling." Vanessa burst into a shrill laugh, clutching her husband's arm. A man named Richard who had just arrived, sweating slightly in his ill-fitting designer suit. "Mr. Sterling?" Vanessa mocked. "Liam, you've done your homework on Google, I see. But knowing the general manager's name and getting him to speak to a delivery boy are two very different things." Richard, trying to regain composure after sensing the weird tension, puffed out his chest. "Honey, don't bother. If he wants to embarrass himself, let him. When the bill comes and he can't pay, we'll just have security toss him out. I won't cover a cent for him." He looked at me with disdain. "I'm a gold member here, kid. I know Sterling personally. If you bother him, I'll have you banned from the premises." I ignored him, flipping open the leather-bound book the waiter had reluctantly handed me. 1982 Chateau Lafite, I murmured. Passable. But for a reunion? A bit common. I turned the page.
Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, 1990.
Getting warmer. Stop acting. One of my old classmates, a guy named Brad who used to copy my homework, slammed his hand on the table. You're just stalling. You're going to order, run to the bathroom, and ditch us with the bill. I looked up ice cold. Waiter, 6 bottles of the 1945 Romani Conti, and bring a round of Louis XIII Black Pearl for a toast. The room went dead silent. Even the waiter froze. Sir. The waiter stammered, his face pale. The 45. We only have 6 bottles in the entire cellar. They are reserved for the owner's private collection. The cost is. I know the cost, I said, snapping the book shut. Just bring them. You are insane, Vanessa whispered, her face losing a shade of color. That's millions of dollars. You're going to jail, Liam. You're actually going to jail for fraud. I sat back down, crossing my legs. If I can't pay, I go to jail. If I can, you shut up. Fair deal? 10 minutes passed. The tension was excruciating. My classmates were whispering frantically, already planning how to explain this to the police. Vanessa was aggressively texting on her phone, likely posting about my breakdown on social media. Then the door swung open. It wasn't just a waiter. It was a procession. 6 sommeliers walked in, each cradling a dusty, ancient bottle like a newborn baby. Behind them walked a man in an immaculate tuxedo, his silver hair combed back perfectly. Mr. Sterling, the general manager of Pine Mountain Banquet. Richard's eyes lit up. He stood up quickly, adjusting his tie. Mr. Sterling, so good to see you. I apologize for the disturbance. We have a troublemaker here who. Richard extended his hand. Mr. Sterling didn't even look at him. He walked straight past Richard's outstretched hand, moving with a singular, terrifying focus toward the corner of the table. Toward me. The room held its breath. Vanessa smirked, waiting for the ejection. Mr. Sterling stopped in front of me. He looked at my Armani tracksuit. He looked at the AGV helmet, a custom Pista GPRR strictly limited to 10 units worldwide. Then he looked at my face. The general manager bowed. A full 90-degree bow. Young master. Sterling's voice trembled with relief and reverence. We didn't know you were inspecting the property today. The chairman has been trying to reach you. The silence that followed was louder than a gunshot. Vanessa's wine glass slipped from her fingers. It hit the table, shattering, red wine staining the white tablecloth like a fresh wound. Young master. Brad squeaked. I didn't stand up. I just tapped the table. Sterling, the service here is slipping. People are questioning my credit. Sterling turned, his face shifting from subservient warmth to icy iron as he looked at the rest of the table. Who questions the credit of the heir to the Foster dynasty? The Pine Mountain Banquet is merely one of Mr. Foster's birthday presents from his father. Foster. Dynasty. Richard whispered. He looked like he was about to vomit. Wait. Foster Global? The conglomerate that owns my company? I finally looked at Richard. Oh, you work for Foster Global? Richard's knees actually knocked together. I'm a regional director for the logistics subsidiary. Logistics? I nodded, glancing at my helmet. That explains the confusion. You mocked my outfit. This isn't a delivery uniform, Richard. It's what I wear when I test the prototypes for our new high-speed courier line. I just came from the track. I stood up, picking up the bottle of 1945 Romani Conti that Sterling had uncorked. I poured myself a glass. You said my ex-girlfriend found a richer boyfriend, I said, swirling the wine. Richard, tell me, what is your annual salary? 300,000, Richard stammered. Cute, I said. I make that in the time it takes to finish this glass. Vanessa was shaking. Her entire worldview, constructed carefully over 4 years of climbing social ladders, was crumbling. But she was a survivor. I saw the gears turning in her eyes. The shock was fading, replaced by a desperate, calculating gleam. Liam, she breathed, her voice suddenly soft, trembling with fake emotion. She shoved Richard slightly away from her. Liam, why didn't you tell me? If I had known. I was just trying to push you. I wanted you to be ambitious. Is that so? I took a sip of the wine. It tasted like history and vengeance. Yes. The loan. The $700,000. I did it to motivate you. And look at you now. You're successful. I knew you had it in you. She took a step toward me, tears welling up in her eyes. An impressive performance. We were so good together, Liam. Richard. Richard means nothing to me. He seduced me. I was vulnerable. Hey, Richard yelled, though he lacked conviction. I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. Sterling, I said. Bring me the file. Yes, sir. Sterling snapped his fingers. An assistant placed a thick folder on the table. You mentioned the $700,000 loan, I said, opening the folder. The debt you forced me to take on. You used my credit to pay off your gambling debts and your father's failed business. Then you vanished. I intended to pay it back. Vanessa cried. Did you? I pulled out a document. Because when the debt collectors came for me, I didn't pay them with my father's money. I wanted to see what it felt like to survive on my own. I delivered food. I worked construction. I paid off the interest with sweat while you posted pictures on yachts. I slid a paper across the table. But here's the funny thing about debt, Vanessa. It gets sold. Last year, I had a little extra cash. I bought your debt from the secondary agency. And I bought the mortgage on your parents' house. And I bought the lien on Richard's car. I looked at them both. I am not just your ex-boyfriend. I am your creditor. And I am calling in the loan. Vanessa's face went from pale to gray. What? What do you mean? The principal plus interest, penalties for late payment. It's roughly $1.2 million now, I said calmly. You have 24 hours. Or I seize everything. Your parents' house. Your car. Your designer bags. Everything. The dinner was effectively over. My classmates were frozen, terrified to move. They realized that by laughing at me, they had potentially blacklisted themselves from the most powerful employment network in the country. Liam, Brad stammered. Man, we were just joking. You know how it is. Boys being boys. Get out, I said softly. What? Everyone except Vanessa and Richard. Get out. Now. They didn't need to be told twice. They scrambled over each other, leaving their purses and coats behind, fleeing the suite like rats on a sinking ship. Only the three of us remained, plus Sterling standing guard by the door. Richard, I said. You're fired. Richard slumped into a chair, burying his face in his hands. You can't do that. HR protocols. I own the company, Richard. I can burn the HR protocols. You're done. And since you signed as a guarantor on Vanessa's new credit cards, you're on the hook for her debt too. I turned to Vanessa. She was trembling, but she tried one last Hail Mary. She unbuttoned the top button of her blouse, walking toward me. Liam, she purred, trying to summon the seduction that had worked on me 5 years ago. Don't be like this. We can fix this. You have the money. You don't need the $1.2 million. You need a woman who understands high society, who can stand by your side. I can be that woman. I can be the best wife you ever. I splashed the remaining wine from my glass onto her face. She gasped, the dark red liquid dripping down her expensive makeup, ruining her white dress. You aren't high society, Vanessa, I said, standing up and grabbing my helmet. You're a leech. And I just salted you. Sterling, I commanded. Escort them out. Send the legal team to their homes tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. sharp. If they hide a single asset, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. With pleasure, sir, Sterling said, a cruel smile on his face. I walked out of the hotel. The night air was cool. The valet had brought my bike around. Not a delivery scooter, but the Ducati Superleggera V4, a beast of carbon fiber and engineering. I put on my helmet. The visor clicked shut, silencing the world. My phone buzzed. It was my father. I heard you finally revealed yourself. About time. Stop playing peasant, and come run the board meeting on Monday. I texted back. I'll be there. As I revved the engine, I saw Vanessa and Richard being escorted out of the side exit by security. They were arguing, screaming at each other on the sidewalk. Vanessa tried to grab Richard's arm. He shoved her away so hard she fell onto the concrete. It was a pathetic sight. For years ago, that sight would have broken my heart. I would have rushed to help her. Tonight, I just shifted into first gear. The engine roared, a symphony of power, drowning out their screams. I launched the bike down the main avenue. The city lights blurring into streaks of gold and neon. I didn't look back in the rearview mirror. There was nothing behind me worth looking at. I had a dynasty to run. Epilogue, 3 months later. The headline on the business section of the Chronicle read, Foster Global Stock Soars as Heir Takes Helm. I sat in the corner office on the 50th floor, signing documents. My secretary buzzed in. Mr. Foster, there is a woman in the lobby. She claims to know you. She looks quite disheveled. She says she's here to apply for the cleaning staff position. I paused, looking out the window at the sprawling city below. What's her name? Vanessa Clarke. I looked at the pen in my hand. The Mont Blanc was worth more than her life savings now. Tell security to remove her. I said, my voice flat. And tell HR that name is blacklisted from all Foster properties. Yes, sir. I hung up the phone. The game was over. I had won. But as I looked at the city, I realized the victory wasn't in crushing her. The victory was that, for the first time in years, I didn't care. She wasn't an enemy anymore. She was just a stranger. And I had work to do.